And I think for everyone who's joined us online, thank you very much for doing that. So how about we do a quick round of introductions? I only need your names, your quick background, and then towards the end, what would you expect to take away from this session as an expectation is what I would be really keen on knowing. So so let's start off with online introductions first, and then I'll get to everyone who's here physically. So who wants to go first? Or I can call out who I see on my screen first. So was that Maisam who was speaking?
Yes. My name is Maisam. I'm from Palestine. I came to Adelaide. I got a scholarship to study master. I graduated Master of Data Science last December 2022. I expect from this session to teach me how to prepare myself for interview.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, great. Yep. Thank you so much, Maisam, for that. Talha, apologies, we're back. Look, you want to go next?
Yes, assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I'm Talha, and I've done bachelor's in telecommunication engineering from Pakistan back in 2011. So I had 3 years of work experience in Saudi Arabia, working in network design, telco industry, and I've been in with the telco client here in Australia as well since 7+ years. The primary reason for joining this workshop is to look for other career
You need
options.
to come in the window down. Oh, that's okay.
There is a bit of a reorg going on in the organization that I'm working in, and just looking for different career options as to grow, like upskill myself. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, amazing. Thanks, Talha. Thank you. And then I have a request. So if whenever we have a participant speaking, I'd request everyone else to go on mute, please. Great. Who wants to go next?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Arshad. I have a master's degree in software engineering, but I haven't been in touch for my field for about 5 years. So my expectation is to how to fill up this gap and how to get back to the IT industries or whatever. I mean, I'm not in IT at the moment, so I'm trying to get back to the IT or support.
Great, thanks for that, Arshad. Yep. Do you wanna introduce yourself, Shiraz? Sorry, we missed that at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My name is Shiraz Muhammad. I am originally from Hyderabad, India. Moved to Australia roughly 4 years ago. I've spent 4 years in Adelaide. Just moved to Melbourne, and it's treating me with freezing cold. So please pardon me and excuse me if I cough while I talk. I welcome you all for today's session. As Brother Rahim said, I'm currently working for Accenture in technology recruitment team. I recruit in experienced hires, mostly from the associate manager to the senior manager level. But yeah, I've got good experience managing all sorts of role, from full-time to contract, and at all phases of a career-wise. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. I hand over to you, Rahim.
Thank you, Shiraz. All right, so who else do we have? How about Ikshan?
Yes, I'm just, I studied accounting, and I had a couple of years experience, and now, but there was still, during COVID, there was no luck in getting a job in it. So I just doing a Cert 4 in cybersecurity, and I was just about to finish. I just got like 1.5 months to go. And yeah, I'm just trying to prepare now to get the job, and just need like some guidance and stuff.
Excellent. Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Ikshan. Thank you.
No worries.
I would like to introduce myself.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Mohammad Parvez. I'm originally from Hyderabad, India. I did my master's in IT from Adelaide, from Torrens University. I'm currently working as like technical system engineer in DXC technology. And with this, I want to like know for the experience of.
Parvez, did you say you're with DXC now?
Yeah, I'm currently working with DXC technology.
Perfect. Excellent. Great. Thanks for joining, Pervez. Thank you. We also have some of our reps that I can see. Zolan, we also have Shifa and Saleha. Do you guys want to go next?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Salia here. Back in India, I was a laboratory manager. From 3 months, I'm in Adelaide. I'm looking for job opportunities in quality and assurance part of role. So I'm here to know like what are my career path options, how can I enhance it, and how can I go for it.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for sharing.
Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you. I also see Ilyas and Abdullah. If you guys want to quickly go ahead and then let's move on to everyone here and then we'll get started.
Abdullah Ali here. I moved on like 2 months ago here. I am on 476 visa. So basically it's this visa is for fresh graduate. I have done electrical engineering. So I'm looking for how can a fresher be join the industries or something else like that. So I'm looking for career guidance. That's why I joined this meeting today.
Perfect. Perfect. Sure. Thanks for that, Abdullah. All right. So we also have a few participants here, but I know them quite well. But maybe just a quick, just for everyone to know who's here. So can you, can you go?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyid Abdul Shaban. I've done my electronics and communication engineering right back in 2004. I've been working in IT for more than 11 to 12 years now. So I was an SAP certified consultant back home in Hyderabad. I've traveled to different countries, including Middle Eastern countries, New Zealand, UK, and all on projects. Uh, so I'm still working as a contract consultant for a development organization in SAP. So installing and administering SAP systems is my basic role. I'm actually looking any better suggestions for getting into senior roles like principal consultant or team lead.
Thank you, Subhan. Jad bhai, we all know you, but quick 2 second. Yeah.
My name is Mirza. I'm here in Adelaide since 2017. So I have started my career in IT. So that was with the distribution first. I'm into cybersecurity now. So I'm managing a product called Acronis. So that's for MSP. So I build up MSPs. Plus, I'm looking for a career change to go towards CI, SSP, and more into technical stuff. So
Excellent. Great. The reason why we spent a bit of time to understand, the purpose and why people wanted to join this call was to make sure that we, number one, we're able to address all of these areas where you wanted to understand. Plus, additionally, we want to know the demographics of who all is a part of that session. Look, I think the agenda of the session, we try to keep it very simple in the interest of time. What we will try and do is walk everyone through a full employment life cycle, right? What is the starting point? Where does it really end? And what does it all require, right? So, so whenever, and I think maybe I'll address my questions to two sort of people. So I see that we have a good mix of participants who are either just graduating or have just graduated with either bachelor's or master's. And then we have a set of individuals who've come with some bit of experience to Adelaide and are wanting to either enhance their careers or wanting to find roles here. Okay. Look, the intent here is, and if everyone can see my screen, right, at any employment life cycle, what is super important for all of us to do is to be aware or be very clear in our minds and heads on areas we want to be in. So we have people here who come from various backgrounds, right? You either freshers wanting to move into either technology based on what you've studied. I've seen people who were, from a science background, from technology background, from cybersecurity background, and so on. So identifying a career scope and objective is the most critical aspect of finding a role, right? So I'll give you my example. Back in 2006, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in engineering with electronics and communication, right? But after finishing my graduation, I was very clear in my mind that I'm not a technical guy. I don't see myself doing a role of an engineer in any firm. But I do knew about myself is that I'm good with people. I like to be in a space where I either look after teams or look after people's careers and things like that. That gave me a few options, right? That gave me an options on, okay, HR, human resources can be an area that I could be in. I also like to build talents and competencies. So learning could be an area where I could be in. So I went ahead and got myself an MBA in HR. And then that was just a starting point. I started off my career working for a company called General Electric, GE, back in 2006, and then everything is history. So this 17 years now, I'm still a human resources guy, not a technical guy, although I have a bachelor's in technical electronics and communication engineering. That was just an example. But the first point and the critical point of, you know, beginning your journey, or even if people who've come here with a bit of experience in Middle East or any other region, it's important that you do a comparison to see, okay, in the Australia New Zealand market, this is exactly what I want to do. And I also have Shiraz who will help me tell you guys on how to go about doing a career scoping and identifying which career I want to be in. So the first step of finding a role or beginning your employment journey within Australian landscape is identifying where do you see your career be? Do I want to be a business analyst? First of all, do I want to be in technology for that matter? Do I want to be within technology? Do I want to be a front-end developer? Do I want to be a business analyst where I don't want to be technical, but I want to be playing a key role in managing projects? Am I good at delivery? Am I good at cybersecurity? So once you've identified your scope is when the next journey begins. Any thoughts here? Are we all clear on what we've said so far?
Yes.
Great. Now, next question is, okay, Rahim, you've told us that a first step towards finding or beginning your employment journey is finding a career, but how do you do that? How do you decide, do I want to be in tech or do I want to be in strategy and consulting as an area? Do I want to be in finance? How do you decide that? Any thoughts before I move forward? So I'm going to blank so that, you know, I don't distract you with slides. So I'm going to blank the slides. So any thoughts, and I want everyone to contribute, right? And people here can add as well. What are your thoughts? How do you decide on picking up a career? What factors do you think we should keep in mind?
We can evaluate ourselves like we are the best. Like as you have decided, you are good with the people management, with the guidance and career building. So one can evaluate themselves what the best are at, and then they can decide this is what I have learned and this is what I can take forward to the next step. Absolutely.
And look, I think Mirza Bhai added a very good point here, right? He said that you can do a self-evaluation and to figure out what am I good at, right? And that could come from various things, right? That could come from the experience of your education, right? Where we have people who've done masters in data science, we have people who've done masters in technology. All of that will tell you after doing that okay, I have, at least from a theory point of view, I have the right skills I need to be in technology, for example. But there are also aspects of strengths and interest and expertise and I'll use my example again. Although I had a formal qualification in electronics and communication, I know that it was not my strength, but my strength was people, being good with people and things like that. So I think when you think of career, the first aspect is knowing yourself. But and there could be many factors, right? People have different motivations. For example, some people, I don't care about my own interest. The job pays really well. The salaries are really good. Hence, I want to do this career. For some people, you know, I don't care about my strengths, but I think this job is easy. I think it gives me the peace of mind. Hence, I want to be in this particular career. So it is super important at this stage for you to self-evaluate and understand and know what exactly is your priority in life, right? For me, it was important that I was working in a space where I had my strength and interest and expertise as well. Hence, I went about doing an MBA and so on. Similarly, when you come about and start beginning your journey, ask yourself some of these questions around: do I have the right strengths? Does this interest me? What is my motivation around finding a role? Right? Is it work-life balance? Is it the kind of the role of a, what kind of role it is, and things like that? And because these are the exact same questions that you're super convinced with, it'll be easy for you to convey to the interviewer as well. So if you see what we've kind of highlighted some of the key items where on what people think about choosing a career objective, right? So it could either be a strengths, interest, expertise we spoke about, industry trends. So some people could say that, what, generative AI is coming, chat GPT is already here. You tell chat GPT to write a program, it writes a program for you. So I don't see a future in front-end development, hence I don't want to take that career, right? It could be, and that's how you do market research. You see job trends, industry trends, and where things are going, and that's how some folks make decisions. So all of these factors you could use to kind of to identify which career you want to be in.
I can give some.
Yeah, Subhan.
So basically, like, while you are doing your engineering or your graduation, you come across few subjects which interest you,
Mm-hmm.
and you might show more focus in, say, like, computer networks, or maybe related to data, or some people, they actually get more focused in programming,
Mm-hmm.
coding and all. So either, like, you can become a coding guy, or maybe if it is a functional side or business side, you can become a functional consultant or something like that.
Right.
And if he is more interested in the cabling and networking and all, he can get into the networks part of it. And finally, like, a functional or a programmer, or again, an admin side of it, or probably if he's good in Excel or kind of business side of reporting, he can get into the reporting side. So this is the way, like, he will choose his career. Okay, I'm good at this or that, or that I'm a good coder or something like that. He can analyze himself and find himself in the direction, and try to focus more and get into the direction.
Yeah.
And read more and try to get certified. Once you get certified, the certification, at least whether you can do this or not. It's not harming you. You're paying some money, but you're getting certified.
Yes, we'll come to that.
Yeah, from there you can kickstart.
Yep. Thank you, Subhan. So the point that Subhan wanted to make was that one of the factors that you also look at is while studying, the subjects that you study and go through during engineering, that would also be a factor that would define what career you want to take in. All right, so let's imagine this, right? So all 15, 16 of us on this call have now all determined our careers, right? So Rahim likes to be in HR, Mirza Bhai likes to be in cybersecurity, Shuja Bhai likes to be in SAP in technology. What do you think should be the next steps? And I want to quickly run through everyone, right? What careers have you chosen for yourself? Anyone wants to quickly share what careers have you chosen for yourself, or something that you have in your mind that you thought for yourself that you will pick as a career objective or career in general?
This is Talha here. Yeah, so since I've done bachelor's back in Pakistan in telecommunication engineering, my experience from Middle East was into network design, and then when I landed here in Australia, I was looking at the telco roles, but I had to start with an IT support analyst role for the first few months. But luckily, by the end of the year in 2015, I was able to secure a contractor role in telco in network operations in the NOC. And then later on, it became a permanent role. So since then, I've been here. I've worked on a few technologies like HFC, and now currently working on FTTX. But all within the network operations environment. So this is aligned to what I've studied before, and I want to stay in technical side. But just looking for options as to what sort of certifications I can do. I'm aware of the normal certifications like everyone does back in our home country, like Cisco and all those routing and switching. And now most of the people are going into cybersecurity as well. So still looking for like technical certifications, but was more towards finding out and then how can I upskill myself from like job perspectives and to make my future secure. Yeah.
Perfect. I think this is a fantastic example, right? Where, and I think this is the most ideal journey that anyone could take, in a migration journey to Australia, right? You come with a certain qualification and experience. you are very clear and you have the perseverance to make sure that you want to continue and work in that career. And Talha came in here, picked up a role that came his way, like a technical support analyst, but kept striving to get into telecom, and he was successful at some stage. And then he now is continuing to remain in that area. Now let's take telecommunications and networks as an example, right? And anyone else, before I move forward, anyone else want to share their story, or have share with me at least a career that they've chosen for yourself? Anyone else?
I can jump in.
Yeah.
Like I started my career as as a technical engineer. So I used to finish my job like 6 hours, 7 hours. Then used to be idle, exploring things, what I can be certified going forward. Then my manager came to me saying, "Hey, you're done with your task. I know you're something in exploring. Why don't you help me with the sales? You're good at people, you're good at speaking
Right.
technologies, and you can convert your conversations with them in a technical way to a sales perspective,
Right.
mapping them the technology and the sales part, what can be a benefit to them." So I said, why not? Let's jump in and let's focus on that part. And then my first deal was almost $99,000.
Right.
For my
Amazing.
job.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just within 3 months.
Amazing.
Yeah, then gradually I became from a solutions engineer, technical solutions engineer into the sales part. So it's like
Right.
techno sales, then into complete sales. So that inspired me. Not only so I did not leave technical things, because for me to focus on sales, the backend should be like technical things to map
Yeah.
that done.
Yep.
So still I carried on with that certifications, but my primary role was sales.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that story as well. Now, look, the story that Mirza Bhai shared was that he started off with a very technical role, but he also saw that sales is something that he could do. He tried that, he did some techno sales, and then moved into sales completely. One common link that you will see in the story that Talha shared and the story that Mirza Bhai shared was skills, right? Talha was very clear from the start that he already had some formal qualifications in telecom networks. He had some work experience. Mirzabai knew that he had the technical experience, but he also had skills around communications, being good with people, being good in selling stuff, right? And that is where I'm coming to. The single most important aspect, once you've decided what your career is to identify if you have the right skills to do that job. What you see on the slide is exactly what I'll talk about. Any role will have a defined skill that you will need to excel and be successful in that, right? And if you see, I've put in a simple dictionary definition of what skill is, right? A knowledge or ability required to execute an activity with respect to an area of work, right? So that's a skill. Any career you pick up in Australia, anywhere in the world, right? You need to have that skill to be able to be successful in that role. Within the skill, what you need to be self-aware is three, right? There are three types of skills. Any profession in the world will have three types of skills. The first one will be the technical skills that you need for a role. The doctor, for example, the technical skills that you would need is he would need to know how to operate. He need to know how to use the scissors and things like that. A functional skill is the knowledge about it, right? So if I'm operating someone on a or a heart, I need to have knowledge on how it functions and all the functions around it. So I've tried to define what each of these is. So everyone's clear that any profession we pick, right, anywhere, you need to have a skill for that profession to be able to be successful. Now, skills have three categories to it, right? And this is exactly what your interviewers will look for, right? So if I need someone for a certain profession or a certain career, I will look at, does this person have all the three skills listed here to be able to be successful in that career? So can someone read what technical skills mean, the three types of skills?
Yes, I can read.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are like technical skills and functional skills and behavior skills.
Right.
In
Perfect.
technical skills, there are techniques, methods, tools, and tactical skills required to fulfill required responsibilities.
Perfect.
In functional skills, there are okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Let's pause here for a little bit, right? And let's quickly discuss technical skills. So technical skills are techniques, methods, tools, tactics, or tactical skills required to fulfill that role. And we'll use some examples as well, right, going forward. So can anyone give me a quick example of what this could be in your respective professions? And I can start off with mine if you like. For example, if I want to be in HR, human resources, a technical skill would be then I need to know the employment laws of Australia and New Zealand. I need to know what the law by law, what certain acts or what certain employment laws tell about people, right? I'm just giving you an example. And that's a very technical skill. Talha, do you want to use an example for telecom?
Yeah,
Or
from
what
network, yeah,
telecom would be?
yeah, from network operations perspective, like you need to be aware of the processes around like how to engage technicians, how to do remote troubleshooting of the equipment that you work on, and like what the business demands from you, like in terms of notifying different access seekers, stakeholders. So knowledge for doing that.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Let's move on to functional skills. Can someone read that for me?
Yeah, functional skills are like activities, knowledge, and experience required to fulfill required responsibilities.
Perfect. Yes. So technical skill is exactly knowing the technicality of that role, having a certain formal qualification for that role, knowing very specific, operational stuff. Functional skills is having a wider knowledge or certain experience to be able to perform that role successfully, right? And the third one is the behavioral skill. So the mindsets, behaviors, and the ways of working required to fulfill that role. Now, this is basically all of us have certain level of behavioral skills. Not everything can be immediately trained or learned, but behavioral skills are super, super important, especially in the Australian New Zealand context. A lot of us, for example, come here from overseas with a lot of experience from India, Middle East, Pakistan, Southeast Asia, and all the other countries that you can think of. But the aspect where the key differentiator will be is the behavioral skills. So I could be super amazing at technical skills. I could be really good with functional skills, but all of these I had applied in a completely different work culture and environment. So, and which is why behavioral skills, the right mindset, the right behaviors. So the behaviors and mindsets, for example, that could work in a certain geographic area may not be relevant here in Australia and New Zealand. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the further slides. So now that we know, so again, let's recap quickly, right? So we said that before starting your journey of employment, it's super important that you first narrow down on the career where you want to build your, where you want to be in, right? That could come from your interests, your strengths, and things like that. Once you've identified your career, you need to be self-aware of the skills, right? How many types of skills are there? 3 types of skills, right? So technical skills, functional skills, behavior skills. Now, once I have identified what technical skills, functional skills, and behavior skills I need in a certain profession, I need to be able to rate myself or evaluate myself on how am I against some of these skills. And what I'll help you today with is some of methodologies and tools we use to rate ourselves, right? So now that we know what skills is and what skill types are, these are the most common scales that are available in the market that that we assess people on as interviewers and as a recruitment team, right? So if you see the proficiency scale, again, I keep going back to some of the things that Talha mentioned, or let's also use what Mirzabai mentioned, right? Let's, for example, let's talk about network operations as a skill, for example, right? These are the 3 predominant scales that are used by recruitment teams across Australia and New Zealand. So I could either be at L1, which basically means, yes, Rahim is aware of the skill, but he cannot perform that skill. I only know what that skill is. Level 2 is basic, right? Where I have a good understanding of the skill. I know what the functional fundamental concepts are and practices are, but if you throw a problem at me, I cannot solve the problem utilizing this skill, right? And I require a lot of guidance. So someone who qualifies, who graduates with a certain qualification, I think let's use the example that we had someone who there was a participant who graduated in data science. So let's say if I use, for example, she had graduated using data science as a master's skill. I would, when interviewing that particular person, I would basically rate her at an L1, right? Because she has good understanding, she knows the fundamental concepts, but because she's not practically worked in data science for a period of time, she may or may not be able to solve all the problems there, right? And will require guidance as and when they begin working. The L3 could be experience, where I have the right good understanding, where I've applied some of the fundamental concepts. I also solve some problems utilizing the skill, and I'm fairly independent, so I may or may not need full guidance. Similarly, you have advanced and expert level of rating that you can give yourself. And I don't want to read through every single point, but what they basically say is the same thing, right? So the scale number 2 that you see is the same thing, but we're calling it P0, P1, P2, P3, P4, where no skills, novice, practice, proficient, and expert. You also have scale 3, which talks about foundation, intermediate, advanced, expert, and master. So once you identified a career, once you know what skills are needed to be successful in that career, you need to rate yourself on those skills and say, okay, for a behavioral skill which says communication skills, or I have let's say I'm at a basic level. What this rating will also tell you is to know the skills where you need to spend more time and work more, either through, if it's a technical skill where I'm at L1, I know that I need to add some certifications. And this is what Subhan was also mentioning as well, right? Where if I'm at a skill which is L1, I know that I need to get some more certification that allows me to at least go to L2, where I'll have the fundamental knowledge and concepts, but I'll still need help in being able to implement them. So when hiring freshers from colleges, what we try and identify is at least to figure out if people have at least basic L2 knowledge or not. If you're applying for a role at an L1, be rest assured that it's very hard for you to crack that role, because interviewers will at least want to have, while companies these days are quite open to invest in training, they also want people to be at a certain level of competency before training them. So just keep that in mind, that you need to get yourself at least to level 2, where you have good understanding of that skill, have fundamental knowledge. You may have not solve problems real time, but the companies will be able to give you that. Rizal had a question.
If it's a fresh graduate, but he has done a couple of certifications, but have not had an experience before. So in which category will they fit in?
So they'll be L1, L2, L2. Because what I've also seen, and then that's a big cultural shift as well, right? So if I look at a grad who graduated with a university degree from India, for example, or anywhere in Southeast Asia or anywhere, I don't think they're at L2 as well. I don't think the education system there has allowed them to kind of come to an L2. But when I see graduates that we hire from local universities here, they are quite good. They have a solid understanding of concepts. They have, they haven't applied or solved problems, but they do have some basic conceptual knowledge where, if you tell them to do a fundamental task, they'll actually be able to do it. So I would place them in L2. Irrespective, yeah.
Locals not having the certification as well.
Yes.
I have a question. Now, when we are looking for grads, say when you're looking for a grad to hire a grad, you already know that they would be at L2. So does that mean not having L4 or L5 or P2 or P3 will disqualify them for the job? Or you know that this is the max that they could go, and hence they are okay with that? I mean, that's the skill.
So it depends, right? So because in the interest of the audience, if I'm an experienced hire, if I'm looking for someone who's not a fresher, so let's talk about two scenarios. Scenario number one, we're hiring from universities in early career space. Everyone joins as analysts when you hire for this thing. Even then, we don't take for granted that, or we don't assume automatically that they have L2 skills. Which is why when you are interviewing for a fresher role, if you look at the sequence of interviews, there's an HR screen that happens, followed by a half day of assessment center that evaluates you on your behavioral skills, that evaluates you on your fundamental functional skills, and evaluates your technical skills as well. So if I'm a technology graduate, I would give them a case study to work on aligned to technology. If I'm a finance graduate, I will group them separately and I'll give them a different case study. So organizations, even at early careers level, do not automatically assume that I already have L2, which is why I'm saying that it is super important that you have at least level 2 level basic skills or where you're applying for. That's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, while hiring for an experienced hire, right? So not a graduate, but you're looking for someone who's good at this. Then I would either look at, anywhere from experienced or advanced level. Because then we automatically assume that you've worked there, you've solved the problem, you're independent and things like that. And then we expect, and for everyone's benefit, the question that Mirza Bhai had was, if there was a scenario where someone is a graduate but also has some kind of certifications, etc., which level would we place them in? So I said we'll place them in level 2. And the question that Azim Bhai had here was, if there was a candidate, when we're hiring for early careers means you're hiring people directly from college. He said that we already know that they're at L2. How do you treat them? Do we rule them out if we don't have L4 and L5? The answer is, while we may think that we don't automatically assume that they have basic skills. We evaluate them still as a part of the interview process. Any further questions on this one?
Questions on the same thing. So will it shorten their journey towards the targeted job for them?
Not really, right? Because I think while applying for entry-level roles, we need to know, first of all, what role I'm applying for. For that particular role, in this scale, in this list, what will be the technical skills, what will be the functional skills, and what will be the behavioral skills for that particular role as an analyst, for example. And I'll give you, let's take a real life example, right? Because there are quite a few students here. Let's assume that you all have graduated from a degree in IT. Okay. What would be technical skills that would look at freshers? For any fresher in technical skills, you would look at, okay, do they understand what full stack development means, or what basic Java fundamentals are? Do they know how to use C++? Would they know really basics of programming and the whole software development life cycle, right? Right from data collection to testing to deployment to the whole software development life cycle. Are they aware or not? Functional skills, can they work in teams? Do they have the knowledge? Do they know what product launches are? Do they know the whole knowledge of product and things? Behavioral skills, do they know how to work in teams? Do they know how to communicate well? Do they know how to write emails and things like that, right? Written, verbal. And so once I know these basic skills, when I prepare for an interview, I need to make sure that I at least am at a level where I'm rated as basic. We don't obviously we all know that graduates cannot be experienced, advanced, or expert, but we expect them to be at least basic competencies. Yeah. Or if not anything, right? Even if you don't have functional and technical skills, what in Australia, New Zealand context, I've not seen companies compromising on behavioral skills like learning agility. Okay, I understand that this guy does not have any skills, but if I train him, will he learn? And this happened a lot. It happened a lot during COVID, right? Because we had severe shortages of people. We had people who were not technically and functionally sound, but we still took those people because we found that they were behaviorally very sound. Their learning agility quotient was really high. If I trained something to them, they'll learn quickly and things like that. So that worked. So super important here will be the behavioral aspect. Any further questions before we move forward? Okay, cool. So look, this is just an example of a project management as a profession, right? So if I look at skill wise, if I look at a job family, and we can see multiple job families here. Someone would join in as a project coordinator, entry level, right? Becomes junior project manager, senior project manager, then becomes a program manager, then becomes a senior program manager, then becomes a senior transformation lead. As they progress from this journey of a project coordinator to a senior transformation lead, their skills move from basic to, expert level of competencies, and so does the skill sets as well. So keep in mind that when you're trying to look for a role, if you look at the whole cycle that we spoke about, so when you're picking a career, you should also see in this scale, where do I fit? For example, Talha, who came with certain level of experience, would not fit here, but somewhere, in the project manager or senior project manager. For example, here we also had Subhan Bhai and Mirza Bhai who come with substantial amount of experience. So when identifying your job family, when identifying, your role, you need to see where do I fit within this whole scale. The reason why this is super important is because you imagine this, right? Imagine, let me use Mirza Bhai's example. Imagine he comes and starts applying for every single role that he's seeing around his area and ended up applying for a project coordinator. That's too junior for him as considering his experience. At the same time, he also applied for a senior transformation lead, role, for example. That could be too senior. So when interviewers look at you, they look at the right balance of, okay, do you have, based on the scale, where do you sit? And within this, where do you sit within the scale, right? So make sure you don't over apply, but make sure you don't under apply as well. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And again, these are some skills, and because we're using project management as an area of example, right? These are the skills. So when you do skill mapping, and I'll actually skip this and let me come here. When you do skill mapping, how do you basically move from, okay, what behavioral skills should I look at for my career? What technical skills do I look at? What functional skills do I look at? So you need to have spent some substantial amount of time in understanding, okay, this is the career where I want to be. This is the skill that I need to be successful in that career. And I divide those skills by behavioral, technical, and functional. Right? So everyone clear so far? So it's exactly an hour since we started. What we have learned so far is when you begin your journey, you first need to narrow down on your career. Once I know what career I want to be in, you then look at what skills make me successful. Within that skill, I divide those skills as behavioral, technical, and functional skills. Once you have divided those skills into 3 categories, we then rate yourself in those skills, right? Either as, as a basic to an advanced level of skills. And then once I know that these are the skills where I don't have the competencies, this is where you go about in the market and start either do certifications or either you take some extra training and things like that. So are we all good so far? Are we following?
Yep.
Yes, no,
Yes,
maybe?
yeah.
Yep. And since we're talking about project management, I'm not sure if you have covered, I joined a little late. Do you want to quickly cover from the certifications point of view, like either PMP or British
No,
standard?
we're using, this is just an illustrative example.
Okay.
What we're doing is, which is what I've mentioned here on the top, where what we are trying to do is tell them when they decide their own career, right? So some of them are cybersecurity, some of them are, from different backgrounds. So when they've decided their career on wherever they want to be, this is how the science should be behind deriving the skills, etc. So this is the kind of work they should do. And these templates we'll share with everyone once we finish the training, so you can use the same templates and narrow down, okay, if I want to be, for example, a project manager, these are the skills I need, and this is how the skills will be segregated by behavioral, technical, and functional.
Sure. Thanks.
Great. Look, I think the next aspect is super important, right? So once I know my career, the skills, and I've rated my skills, now I'm ready to apply. Now, how do I go about starting to look for roles? So this is where, I have Shiraz, who's an expert at it, right? So he does this every day, day in and day out. He sources people, he talks to people, and so he'll be able to guide all of us and tell us what should be the approach and strategy in researching a position. It's literally a research. It's not searching. You need to be very strategic about how you go about and trying to find that role. So Shiraz, over to you. And he'll basically give us some live demonstration that on the tools we use every day, like LinkedIn and Seek, etc., on how to go about looking for a role. Over to you, Shiraz. And then I'm happy if you want to take the control and share your screen as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brother Rahim, for this valuable information so far. Before I move ahead, just want to confirm, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, Shiraz, we can now.
Okay, that's perfect. Look, thank you so much again. Now, before I move ahead and illustrate the live demonstration about how to research on where you want to be, as Brother Rahim said, we all have now came to a point that we know what you want to be, meaning you have identified what's your ideal role is. For somebody, it could be a mechanical engineer. For somebody, it could be a cybersecurity specialist. For somebody, it could be a laboratory manager, right? So we've got a variety of participants from a different diverse background. So let's just let me just ask a quick question. If somebody has to explore any career, how do we go about it? Can you give me any example? Where do you go and search for it? Anybody?
On various job websites.
For example?
For example, LinkedIn, Seek.
Great. Anything else?
Anything on Google also, but most probably LinkedIn and Seek as well.
LinkedIn and Seek.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Let me quickly. So let me just go at, in my experience so far, I feel Seek.com is the best tool that we have now available in ANZ marketplace. All right. Some might have a different opinion, but they could also be right because they've got success over other platforms. So in my experience so far, when I was new, I did the same thing. So I just want to again confirm, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So let's just take an example. We all know about Seek.com, right? So we just came to this site. Can anyone tell where do we go about if you want to learn something about a particular job title or a career move? Has anybody done this sort of similar research on Seek.com?
Yes,
Sorry?
Career advice.
Great. For those who doesn't know, that's how you need to look at in Seek.com. If you go to career advice, you would see a lot of options there for you to actually review. And why I use and why I say Seek is the most beneficial website is because it supports with conclusive evidence of what's been happening in the market in real time, right? And it's not just does it for like let's say last year, but it always go and update of whatever's happening in the real time scenario. So let me just go and select this career, explore career options. You would see again job hunting, working life, and all these tabs. But if you want to look and research for something, you would see something called as find the right job for me. If somebody is not sure and they just want to see, because in real world, what happens is because somebody have graduated here and somebody has moved as a skilled migrant, somebody was already an experienced candidate back home overseas, and they just came here to do some masters to enhance the skill set, but they're just not sure where to start, right? So that's something, it works for all people who wants to start their career, who wants to excel in their career, who want to just see what their career prospect looks like in the future. So this is something where you can go and there's an edit option. It's free. You can all go and do it on your own machines, on your laptops or workstations. That's fine.
And
so
if
let's take an
and sorry, Siraj, and if you guys on your laptop, it'll be great if you guys can follow him now.
We will take just a couple of examples here as a live demonstration, and then you can do it on your parallelly in your own on your own machines, right? So while you're talking about the project manager, right? Let me just take as an example of a project manager, right? The moment I start typing, it populates some of the job titles, right? So there could be different types of project managers. Hold on.
Shiraz, do you want to use like an analyst kind of an example, maybe?
Yeah.
Considering we have a lot of students.
Right.
It's like a business analyst or something like that.
As a business analyst. Okay, let me take as a business analyst example. Now there's few options that comes here. One is IT business analyst, another is agile and a business process analyst on the digital. But just to the example, let's just take an example of a business analyst, just a generic one, nothing too particular in terms of the industry. And the location I would select as Adelaide. I think most of us are from Adelaide. All right, then I hit the search button. This is what the result came in as. So the job titles are also available on Seek, our IT consultant or digital business analyst. These are the famous top job titles available on Seek. So as of today, there's 578 jobs only in Adelaide location. And the job prospect is growing every single day with a projection of having at least over 20% in the next 5 years. And the typical salary, and like when I say typical, it's an average salary in SA is around 100,000 per year, right? And there's few jobs which has been posted just roughly 6 days ago, 5 days ago, and 2 days ago on seek.com. If you want to learn more about how do you become a business analyst and what it takes to be a business analyst, just click on learn more about this and it gives you the details of it, like an overview of how many job opportunities are currently available in Australia right now. And now the average salary has become 120K because it's giving you an overall view across Australia. Before it was only in South Australia, right? So there's a video that you can play and learn more about this. If you click on these tabs on the top, how to become a business analyst, it's sort of giving you a brainstorming your head, what you want to be. If you want to be a business analyst, what it takes to be. So having a bachelor's degree in business or analytics or information technology or any similar related field, that usually takes about 3 years time, or you can be a member of the BABOK, the Business Analyst Guide, or you can also get a certification from IIBA, that's International Institute of Business Analysis, to just gain some experience or get an entry-level role as a business analyst. And the certifications, if you click here on industry certifications, you would see Agile Business Analysis Foundation. There's about 40 years of this Agile PMI course. So you can also see how many short courses or TAFE courses that provides. Basically, it gives you a pretty comprehensive information about how do you become a business analyst, or for that matter, any role, and what sort of salaries, if that's one of your motivation to get into this field, how much can you earn, right? So that also gives you an average salary of business analyst in various industry. In IT, it's about 142. In banking and financials, it's 140. So similarly, in accounting and education, you get 100,000. So overall, if you want to be a business analyst, you came to a conclusion that either if you're a graduate or like entry level, get a certifications IIBA and try for graduate or entry level roles. Once you have 3-4 years of experience, you can apply for the senior level roles where it takes to over 120,000 in terms of salary. Any questions so far? Or shall we try another example?
Why don't we do one more, Shiraz?
Yeah. Anybody from
maybe
the
an analyst, just an analyst, IT analyst, or a business.
All right. Let's just take an example of a data analyst.
Yeah.
Do one for engineering, like
engineering.
Engineering, yes.
Or any like mechanical engineering or electrical engineering.
Electrical.
Electrical engineering. All right. Are you happy with this title?
Yes.
All right. Great. So we got the results. Roughly about over 500 jobs currently on Seek, 10%. So you see, if somebody wants to switch a career, just this example, right? If somebody wants to switch a career from electrical to IT, they might take a hint from this, saying that the job prospects in the next 5 years for an electrical engineer is roughly under 10%. If compared to business analyst, it's over 20%. So that gives you an idea of, am I choosing the right career for me in the next 5 years? That's something that you need to think about and learn about, and then came to a conclusion. All right, now I've decided if I want to be an electrical engineer because I enjoy doing engineering, that's fine, be in your own space. But if you want something else, it's all up to you. So identify your strengths, as mentioned by Brother Rahim in the earlier slides of the presentation. All right, so that's pretty much overview for electrical engineer.
Just one question, Shiraz. The percentage growth that it was giving you, for the next 5 years, what percentage is considered as a good percent? Because I've seen 25 and now 10, and a couple of other that I was doing in parallel was giving 6 or 7. So what percentage is good, and for somebody to encourage and motivate to keep continuing in the same field that they are in?
I think roughly it's I can't really tell a number, but what I feel as a recruitment and what I feel day in, day out, I usually think, if, for example, personally, in my view, if I want to excel in my own career, I would at least want to see if got 10% of growth as a benchmark, at least. Even 9.5 is okay, because things might change next year. So I'd keep looking at it. And I think 10% would be as a benchmark to answer that question.
Thanks, Shiraz.
Because it all takes, there's about roughly 4,000 opportunities across Australia, right? And if somebody who is limited to only work in South Australia, reduces that chances of getting or winning that role. If somebody is open to go out all out in Australia and get a job, that increases the chance.
And Shiraz, there's a question from here as well. I'm not sure
he just answered.
Oh, he did?
If it's a shortage, if it's more demand, actually, that would go high. So my
Okay.
question was actually, how would we know which percentage and why it's been changing actually? So,
Right. And look, I think what I also feel is the geographic environment also plays a lot, right? For example, we've seen what happened with the Latitude Financial case.
Right.
We've seen what happened with all with the breach on Optus, right? So we know that, for example, cybersecurity as a space is an area that's going to be such on high focus. I think the governments, the local geographic environment also kind of plays a role, I think. But I think, yeah, I agree to what Shiraz has mentioned.
Also, if the technology is a niche technology,
yeah.
Somebody was there from the lab, right? So let's just try this.
Laboratory manager.
Yeah. It doesn't say laboratory manager, but it does say laboratory supervisor.
Yeah, it comes as a supervisor here.
All right. So let's just see. There's only 10 jobs available on Seek. So that gives you an idea what sort of job market. And we also see how many people are available in Adelaide with that particular skill set. And the Seek doesn't have any projected job growth for this particular role in the next 5 years. So if I were you, I would think twice to get into this field. And at least it's completely up to you to decide where.
And I think, and just to add to what Shiraz is mentioning, right? Not having a number does not mean there's no growth there. I mean, if you look at the government, the focus on medical side is immense. So just that it basically means that Seek does not have details around this particular role. But yeah, there could be others who could give us more realistic, But I think in general, I've seen in particular that there's huge focus from the government's end to kind of promote more medical related professionals. There's a request here to do a project manager search as well, Shiraz.
Yeah.
And then we'll move forward after this one in the interest of time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the result for an audit manager as of now.
Sorry, I said project manager, sir.
Oh, project manager. Okay. So you see different project managers as per different industries like IT, civil and construction, digital, and electrical infrastructure. Now, infrastructure could be different too in IT and otherwise as well. So let's just take a generic example of a project manager, all right, in Adelaide. Again, it's almost 10% as a job growth, but I think that's in IT, it's more, I believe. Because I come from IT, so I'm just going to be a little biased in that. So pardon me for that. You see roughly about over 2,000 jobs available, typically a salary of 125,000 a year. And we also see a few jobs that's posted in the recent times. So many of them. If you want to learn how to become a project manager, it gives you a comprehensive information, as we discussed earlier. And as Jawad Bhai also mentioned, that what industry certifications one can get to become a project manager. You would see the 7 years of self-paced online course done by learning people, where you can actually learn and get the certifications of PMP certificate from PMI Institute. Great. So you happy with this now? Is everybody all clear?
Yep. And Shiraz, do you think we should touch LinkedIn a little bit as well?
I'm just going to come onto that, because I think somebody from the participants said to look for on Seek. So I just did first the seek.com.
Yep.
Now let's just move on to LinkedIn.
And Shiraz, in LinkedIn, can we? Okay, perfect. Let's use the normal one and then another LinkedIn.
Yeah. I'm going to show you first from the job seeker wise, and I will also show you from a different bird's view from a recruiter side of how we look for candidates. All right. So this is just my personal LinkedIn account. I'm sure you all must have got one for yourself. Now, when you look for a job, there's two ways that you go and look for, in my experience so far. One is you straight away go here and then look for jobs, or just type any sort of jobs you want. All right, so you go to your jobs, and then you, for example, what we have just searched as a business analyst, as an example, right? Click on business analyst, and you would see, select your location as Adelaide. Right, so roughly you see about 412 jobs that's been posted in Adelaide for business analyst. But there's few filters, the tabs that you see on the top. Try and filter out to your relevance. And as a best practice, always select the days posted as past month to see how many jobs were posted. So out of 412, there's 406 jobs that's been posted in the last month. But if I were you, I would just go and select in the past week at least. So the number changes from 406 to 141. All right, so chances are there the rest of them have already been in the process of interviewing candidates or at the offer stage, because it's been almost a month now. But for the government roles, it usually takes around 2 months, because they have got to post the job for 1 month before they even start screening the candidates in South Australia. So that's how you need to filter in order to apply for the best and the most active roles that's available online. So on a weekend, if you just press from past 24 hours, there's somebody who's posted a job on Saturday, all right? And there's only 3 of them. If you look at it, there's almost 27 applications already applied. So when you're looking for a role, try and see how many people you're competing with. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people come to me and say that I don't get calls from recruiters, or I don't get to hear back anything from the companies. There's a reason to it. Why? We'll discuss and we'll address to that. And you can ask me any questions if you want. So there's EY, Datacom, and the Westpac Group. These 3 have posted the jobs on a Saturday. And for example, let's just take EY. It's a solution architect, again, under cybersecurity. There's only 1 applicant that have applied. So chances are there that if you are falling into the same category with the right skill set, your profile should first reach to the recruiter when they come tomorrow on a Monday morning. This is the one way you look for jobs, and then you start applying for it. using either the LinkedIn tool, or it sometimes the jobs will take you to the company's careers page, and then you can apply from there, right? What can you do differently to that? And sorry, the second way that people look at the jobs is, if somebody wants to apply and wants to get a role in a specific company, right? Somebody who has worked in Microsoft in India, they came over here and they want to again apply for Microsoft in Australia, right? So they can do that by selecting the company. So the best way to do that is, let me take an example of a local company rather than a big, as an example of Accenture itself. Right, go to the job, so the company's page, and I click on the jobs. I see there's about 23,000. It's all worldwide. If I choose Adelaide, there's about 27 roles that Accenture have posted in the last, I would say, yeah, anytime. Let's just take past 1 week. There's only one job in Adelaide. But if you take Sydney as an example, there's 25 roles that Accenture have posted, different jobs. And if you happens to be one of the project manager looking for a job in Accenture, this is the way you can look for a job that is more specific to one company. So there's two ways. One, generic, go with the title, like a business analyst or a project manager or a lab manager. Other, if you are targeting only one company of your interest. So there's two ways you can do. Now that you know you've applied for jobs, sorry, you got the job details, how do you go about doing things different to what others are doing? Right. For example, let's just say PwC, this role. To scroll down, usually you would see somebody who's posted, you would see the recruiter details, right? Follow this page, go to PwC page. You would see all the jobs that PwC have posted. And try and see if you're able to locate any recruiter. If not, then you can go to the company's page. Go to people. It'll become a lot of them. So let me just. All right, so that's Victoria, that's Melbourne, that's Sydney. Let's just take an example of, let's see how many people are there in Adelaide. So there's 300 roughly in South Australia. There you go. The first person comes is Julian Krier. He is the talent acquisition lead at PwC, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to his profile, send him a request to connect. If he accepts your request, then you can start communicating with him. That's one way of doing it. But if you spam a lot of people, if you send more than like 10, 20 requests to recruiters every day, LinkedIn will not allow you to do so. They'll think that you're spamming them. So target those recruiters who you think are applying or posting jobs on a regular basis in terms of your own specific job title, right? So if you come across and see all the activities that they are doing, you would select the post, not the comments or images. I'm just going to give you the whole activity. So you would see infrastructure central manager, the job that he has posted. you would see again an expression of interest for Adelaide Skill Services Hub. This is more or less for the graduates, executive assistant. So you'll see all sort of jobs that they post. So what happens, what helps does this give to you is, when you have so many recruiters that you follow, when they post something, it comes to your wall every morning when you log in, and you would see the job, and you can straight away click on it and apply for it. And you can connect with that recruiter and talk to them or message them. And that's how you build that rapport. For example, if you are unable to locate the contact number, there's always ways to do that. And you can always go onto the careers page, type their name, and you'll always have a contact number on there. When you call them up, you can ask for that particular person. If you call Accenture's number and ask for Shiraz, they will allot it to me. So that way you are able to get in touch with that particular recruiter. And then you can start talking about, hey, I've seen your profile, I've seen a job advertisement on LinkedIn or on your job site with, for example, as a business analyst, I've got so-and-so number of years experience, and I'm currently in Adelaide, I've got all the required skill set, what you want, blah, blah, blah. Talk to them, build a rapport, and they would know you by name. Do a few times, and as a recruiter myself, I would consider people who comes to me, which differentiates from other, because this person is proactive, than somebody who just apply and forgets about it and complains, I don't get any calls from recruiters. Why would I? Think from a different point of view as well. A recruiter has, on an average, roughly about 10-20 jobs to deal with every single day, and they get roughly about 200 applications on a single job. So it's practically not possible for a recruiter to actually go and talk and screen each one of the applications that comes our way, right? So you need to be doing a bit of a proactive work in order to get into the workforce. And once you get into a role, then recruiter follows you. If, for example, it's just the first role that you need to crack in. Once you crack the first role, once you get into industry, once you have experience, recruiter will come and poach you, headhunt you passively. So you don't have to look for it. That's one way.
I think just to add to what Shiraz is mentioning, right, with the advances we're making, I'm sure all of us are hearing, excessively about generative AI and so on. And as a recruitment lead, one of the things that I'm exploring now, and I'm sure every other company is as well, is there are tools now in the market. And like what Shiraz mentioned, every single role we advertise, we get thousands of applications. It is humanly not possible for the recruiter to respond to every single applicant. So the artificial intelligence driven tools are now going to be used to shortlist resumes and tell us, here from the job description you shared, here are the top 10 candidates or top 5 candidates that we think will fit the role. Not only that, we will be going to one step further. I'm sure you must have heard of, we spoke about the behavioral skills, right? Every role will have a set of behaviors that we need candidates to have. So while applying, we'll also get you to take some behavioral question survey that will be a part of your application. And the tool will tell me, okay, this candidate has great technical skills, great functional skills, but may or may not fit in your culture because he does not have the behaviors that you're looking for. And Shiraz will talk a little bit about that in going forward on how to work on your resume, because your resume needs to talk very closely and work, in sync with the job description, because the tools will basically use a JD and your resume to kind of do that match.
Sorry to interrupt here. I just have a question. Do you tell us those AI websites? So even when we are applying for the jobs, even we will be going there and just by combining, can we do that as well?
So they won't be AI websites. They are going to be internal proprietary tools that we basically use internally. So you will not be able to access them. But what you can ensure is that your resume that you're using to apply for the role is completely in sync with the job description that you see for that role. So when you see, okay, the job requires you to do these 10 things, make sure you have those things included as a part of your resume.
Okay, thank you.
We will be giving you a few free websites, or you can say the tools that you can actually, will help you to make your resume or your LinkedIn profile better. There's Jasper.ai, and we also have ChatGPT. There's few we're going to give you after this session. In terms of recruitment or LinkedIn, now that I completed the view from a job seeker point of view, before I move on to the recruiter's point of view, I also want to add, how do you make your LinkedIn profile in a better way that we can actually reach out to you, or your profile can get viewed by the recruiter and the hiring managers, right? This is just my example. If you're open to work, always use this option. Open to, are you looking for a job? So what it does is, as you see here, it says show recruiters that you're open to work. So as a recruiter, I always focus on somebody who is open to work now. And the reason I'll tell you in the next minute or so.
But if you already have a stable job, don't use that, because your employers will see that you are looking for a job outside.
I was going to touch you on that as well. That's a valid, very important point. When you click on that, it will tell you to just show only to recruiters and hide from your current company. It gives you an option to that. So don't just blindly say that you're open to work to anybody, but only to the recruiters. All right.
But still the recruiters of your own company also can see that.
Of course, they can. But if you have a LinkedIn premium account, you can restrict that. So usually when people are actively looking, they'll go and select that option. If somebody is serving a notice period or asked to, to let go, or their job has been impacted, usually those are the people who go out there and put pretty much open to. But if you have a LinkedIn premium account, you can actually restrict that. I'll tell you some examples when we go and look for it. You will see differences on there. The second most important thing is to have your about. This is just me. It's just a very basic thing that I've mentioned here. You can generate this an AI tool which is LinkedIn summary generator. So if you click the title, it generates that to you. Let me see if I can show you just quickly. There's few I have maybe this one. All you have to do is just put your title and it gives you a short summary. I think this is the one. So use the tools that are available like ChatGPT and LinkedIn Bio Generator. I think we'll give you the details after this session. So in the interest of time, let's just jump on to the LinkedIn from the recruiter's point of view. All right. So how do a recruiter look when for candidates when they're trying to fill a role? An example again, as a business analyst, that's a very broader title. So it populates some of the job title matches to me. And this is the licensed version of my company. So please, it's not available to all. So it's a paid version. So as a recruiter, when I click on business analyst, it gave me that result, but it's across the whole geographic locations. I want to limit myself by adding the location to Adelaide and their current job title to be business analyst. See how the numbers are changing here. That means I've selected the job title as business analyst, whose current job title is business analyst, and they are currently located in Adelaide. So there's roughly about 1,400 plus people in Adelaide as a business analyst. And out of these, I could see the top tabs, there's over 300 people who are open to work. So as a recruiter, do you think I'm going to reach out to all these 1,500 people? I'm not even sure how many of them are looking for a job. But what this open to work suggests me is out of these 1,400 people, there's 300 odd people who are looking to work. If I select that, it gives me a filter result of those 306 candidates who are looking to work, who are looking for a job change as a business analyst. Now that if I'm a business analyst, I'm looking to get a new role, I should at least be thinking there's at least 200 or 300 people that I'm competing with, because they all be applying for jobs, right? Of course, you don't know this number because you don't have access to it, but we from recruiters, we know that there's about 300 people alongside you who are competing for that role. Now, again, in those 306 people, it's not practically possible for me to reach out. So what the LinkedIn feature, the active talent gives me is, these are the candidates who may have shared a profile update, a public resume on LinkedIn, or a company that may be experiencing layoffs. So the LinkedIn recruiter license helps recruiters like us with this information, that out of these people, 75 are the ones who could be the active people looking for a job, and they're being engaging on LinkedIn, right? And out of that, if I click on 80, these are the 81 people who are interested in your company. That means at any point of time, out of these 300 people, 81 candidates have either applied for a role with Accenture or have some sort of communication with any of the Accenture's recruitment team. So I go and select these 81, gives me a different result now. Because they are following Accenture's page. So I will reach out to first these 75 people who are actively looking for a role. If I select this person, Rafael, as an example, because it says he's open to work, that's how the recruiter view, and that's his public profile view. So if I click his public profile view, you will not see any open to work here, right? He does not say he's open to work. Whereas if you see my profile, it says hiring, because I'm a recruiter, I'm hiring. I'm not open to work. I am open to hire people, right? So that way, that gives you an option when you're selecting open to work, whether or not you want other people to see that you're open to work. So this person has actually selected that he's open to work because his profile is coming in my view that he's open to work. But his public profile is not showcasing that. So as a recruiter, I would first reach out to these 75 people, and I won't call them each, and I just select them, send them a mass email message, and whoever responds to that message, I will call them up and I will interact with them. So this is how when I send an email, when they reply, I get to see in my LinkedIn recruiter license that so many people have applied for this role. And I communicate with them directly here. All right. Hope that this makes sense to all of you, and gives you an idea. When you're looking for a job, you're competing with at least 100 odd people for that job. So you need to do something differently to what other people are doing. The best way is to engage yourself on LinkedIn. The more you do, the more chances of you getting a role increases from the recruiter's point of view. Second, you ring the company, ask for that recruiter, call them up, build a rapport. If you are in Adelaide, ask them for a coffee catch up, meet them in the city, go for a coffee, sit with them and talk to them about your own profile. What have you done? Or even it does not matter if you're an experienced person or not, or an entry level. What it shows is what approach you're taking it, because recruiters are the gatekeepers, right? So we present you in front of the hiring managers, right? So that's just a live demonstration of on LinkedIn from a job seeker point of view and from hiring managers point of view. Any questions, please?
Does the recruiters see SSI of the candidate?
Yes, we get to see that. Only few of us have that access. Usually the leads will have it. It's usually the percentage of your profile. you can actually generate one of them. But if you want to, we can, yes.
So if the higher the score, the higher is like, or the faster the recruitment, is it so, or it doesn't matter?
No, it does not matter. It does not matter in terms of hiring. What we look at as is first the skill set. Does this person has the right skill set required for that job? That's the first thing we look for. For titles like a business analyst and a project managers, these are very generic in nature. And it always helps us to reach out to those people first who are open to work with the generic job titles. Let's say if, like Brother Rahim said, for a full stack developer in IT, it means he's also a front-end developer and also a back-end developer. He's a full stack. That's where we get a bit of tricky. We need to understand, we always put the keywords as well when we look for front-end full stack developer, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all those in the keyword section to get the desired results. But SSI does not necessarily give you higher chances of getting a role or getting an interview.
One question, if we have skills other than the core skills, and we put that, let's say certifications other than our core, that the job description that I'm applying for, will that help me or make it like confusing or
may work against you? Because it's a machine doing the sorting, right? So it's going to see a percentage match. So while you put everything, for everything extra that you've put is more than what is relevant, the percentage of match will go down. And if it goes down, then obviously it's which is why it has to be like the perfect
custom CV.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if everyone got the question that Azima had. The question was, can I put excess information about certifications, etc., that I've done? You can, but don't let that overshadow the relevant information on the job description. Otherwise, the tools will actually push your resume a bit down in terms of the exact match. Cool. Look, in the interest of time, I think, let's move forward quickly around the interview. So let's say now you've narrowed down the roles that you want to see, you've applied for the role. I think, Shiraz, it'll be good to share with everyone the context on how does the interview process itself works. What kind of interviews happen, what's the first round, second rounds, and so on, typically in a Australia and New Zealand context. So and then what I will do after that is share with you, just like the way Shiraz showed you how a recruiter looks at your resume. I also want to show you how do we prepare how do you prepare the interviewers to take the interview. And I'll share I want to play some videos for you guys on while we all know what preparation you come with. I also want to share with you the kind of preparation the interviewer comes with, for the interview. So it'll tell you what kind of preparation you need to be covered as well. So quickly, or what do you, Shiraz?
Yeah, I would just go on this bit as to what we from the hiring manager's point of view. So I just want to set the expectations. You will first get a call from a recruiter. It could be an HR screening, which will be somebody who's asking about your background and try to map the relevance of your background and experience to the role that they're trying to fill in, right? So that's the first thing. So when somebody calls, you don't just start telling that the day you graduated and that's my first role, all those 10 years of history. That's fine. You can say overall I've got 10 plus years of experience or X number of years of experience, but in the last few years, try and map the relevance of your experience to that job role which you're applying for. So the first call will be from the HR screening perspective, will be more of generic in nature, nothing too technical or nothing too behavioral. Firstly, they would ask about your background, your education qualification, your experience. Do you have the work authorization to work in Australia? If yes, then is it restricted or is it unrestricted? Do you have any industry certifications, or do you have any clearances, like some of you have just told about cybersecurity. A lot of people are actually talking about getting into cybersecurity, but rest assured, cybersecurity is, you might see a lot of jobs there, but those are mostly, I wouldn't say all of them, mostly are for the defense or for the government agencies. And to get a role in cybersecurity in government agencies, you need to have, you need to be a citizen, because it requires you to get some clearances like baseline clearance or negative vetting 1 or NV2. But for the very basic level, you at least need to have a baseline clearance, right? To be able to at least get access to that system in order to do that role. So whoever trying to seek into cybersecurity, just do a little more research about how many jobs are with the federal government and how many jobs are there for the private companies, right? Just as an example. So they would see if you have any certifications, any security clearances, any national police check or working with children's check. If you're working for a Department of Education in South Australia or TFSA, they would require you to get one which is working with children's check, regardless of what you're doing there, even if it's an IT or not, or otherwise. They would want all of them to have the working with children's check where it is required. So the first round of interview will be more of these screening questions, which will allow the recruiter to see if this person is right fit to present in front of the hiring managers. And let's say we get 100 applications and I only present top 5 of them, right? And if I get those 5 in the first 10 or 15 applications, I'm done with it, right? Because I have to address other jobs as well. So need to be very active when looking for jobs, both on Seek or LinkedIn or otherwise. Then the hiring manager will look into your resume, compare all those resumes that got in front of them, and they would shortlist at least 3 of them for an interview. Now that's something which is called as skills discussion, wherein the interview. Yeah.
And Shiraz, just to, sorry to interject. If everyone's able to see my screen, we've prepared some stuff that for you to read through, which we'll send you after this session. So everything that Shiraz spoke about, the screening interview, we've actually mentioned some tips for you guys that you can read through, right? Because the screening interview, like Shiraz mentioned, is the gate, right? And this is the interview that we all normally take for granted. This is the first call you get from the recruiter. The recruiter in this is now basically checking your basic eligibility and your fundamental skills before they take your resume to the hiring manager. Think of this as going for a home inspection and speaking to the real estate agent. If you go and you screw that up, the agent will not present your file to the owner. It's just like that. So this is super important. Only if you clear this is where you're going forward. So we've prepared this for you, and we'll send this to you later on for you to read. But these are some tips that you need to follow through during a skill interview. And Shiraz, for your this thing, I'm not sure if you're seeing it, but I'm now sharing the screen, so people are now.
I am.
We are at the skill interview page now. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry to go on.
We all can see your screen now, so that's all good. So, and the first would generally be the HR screening, and the second is depending on client to client. For companies like Accenture or SAP Networks or any corporate that usually have 2 to 3 rounds of interview, it would be something called a skills discussion or a technical interview. It could either be one interview or 45 minutes or an hour, or it could be 2 additional interviews. So how it works is usually the first person will assess you. Don't be surprised if you see more than 2 people sitting an interview, because I heard from a lot of people from our community coming to me and say, I didn't know there was 3 people sitting an interview. It was something new to me, because you're not coming from the same culture background that these people are coming from, right? So that's what we call as culture fit, to know what to expect. So don't be surprised. There would be first one person who would be the lead of that project, or like managing the project, somebody who is very particularly leading that small bit of that project, and somebody from the HR. So there's usually 2 or 3 people sits, because to have a fair work, so to have a fair policy of screening and interviewing candidates, if you only have one, you can bypass through. So just to avoid that, usually you will have more than 2 people interview you. So don't be afraid of that. All right, that's all good. It could be additional interview for skills discussion, and the last usually is most of them sort of like a behavioral interview, wherein they would see whether this person, what's the career progression. Is he coming only for a job or a salary, or this person has some vision That's why you might have here, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, right? Usually that question is to see what's your thought process is. Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Do you have anything going on in your head as a career progression, or you just want to be where you are, or you just came in here just to attend any other interview? So there's so many things that the interviewer has in his mind before making the decision, right? So just be prepared for all of these, and then be well prepared to answer the questions in a very appropriate manner. Don't oversell yourself. I've seen a lot of people. I'm coming from India, and in India, the more you talk, it gives an indication that this person can do the job well because he talks. But in Australia, of course, you need to start and sell yourself, but don't oversell yourself. That will disqualify you by saying you're overqualified for this role, right? So, and always be humble in the interview, and tell and express indirectly that you're willing to learn, even though you have done some high-level jobs overseas. When you come here, don't make the interviewer nervous. I've seen people who's got like 20 years of experience. They come over here, and the person who's taking the interview has 10 years of experience. So they might feel offended, or they might feel nervous that you might take their job as well in the future. So just be very mindful of that. So that's how usually the 3 rounds of interview: HR screening, skills discussion, and the final round, wherein we all discuss about your compensation, your availability, and notice period, and all the stuff. But in South Australian government roles, because I've been a panel member of it, there's only one interview after the HR screening. So they will ask you everything about your general background, your qualification, experience, and the most important thing to answer in government jobs is the reason why you're applying for that. That's the definite question that they would ask. Tell us the reason why you're applying for this role. What motivates you to apply for this role? So be well prepared for that answer to come. And the most common questions that I see that the government of South Australia have asked is very situational based. It's not about technical. There might be a few technical questions if you are a technical person. If you're a developer, they might ask you to run down a query or write a table, someone's SQL and stuff like that. But for a generic in nature, like a functional role, the most common types of questions that they would ask is, tell us about a time that you managed a challenging project. Tell us about a time when you missed a deadline, and how did you overcome that? Tell us about a time when you had conflict in your team or a client, and how did you overcome that? So we can't answer that question in this session, but you need to figure it out in your own field. That as an HR, I would see what are the challenging projects that I've done, what are the challenging roles that it took me to fill in, and what are the problems that I came across, and how did I overcome that? So those are the things that you need to prepare well in advance before you go for an interview, and also have at least 2 examples prepared before you go for an interview. Sometimes they even ask for a follow-up question. So just be mindful of that. Over to you.
Cool. All right. In the interest of time, what I also wanted to do was, to like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to share with you on how we train the interviewers, to kind of before for them, starting to interview candidates. So these are some really small videos that I've cherry picked for you guys.
To elicit useful information. Conduct the
Yes, we can see your screen now.
A job interview is a tool for matching the best possible applicant to the role they'll fill. To make that match, the interview needs to be deftly handled, taking the right steps before, during, and after the interview itself. In this course, you'll learn how to prepare for an upcoming interview, ask the right questions to elicit useful information, conduct the interview, and then assess the proper qualities of the applicant. By taking time to examine the CV, you'll gain a better understanding.
Well, I've culled it to a list of 3 finalists. They all look good, and I've set up interviews. At this point, the most promising is a woman I'll be talking to tomorrow.
It'll be nice to get Jesse's job filled.
Yeah, but those are big shoes to fill. I hope one of these candidates is up to it.
When filling an opening, job interviews are crucial for determining the right fit. To maximize this opportunity, an interviewer must approach interviews rigorously. The interviewing process doesn't start when the applicant walks in the door. Instead, it begins with proper preparation. There are specific actions you can take to ensure you're ready to talk with the candidate. First, review the current job description for the role you want to fill. Be clear what skills and competencies a candidate should have, and what tasks and responsibilities the person will need to handle. Of these, consider which skills and levels of experience are absolutely essential, and which are less critical. This helps you put your priorities in order. If a candidate doesn't have a necessary skill, consider whether it would be worth the time and resources required to train them. The payoff might not outweigh the effort needed. Not only will the job description clarify what skills and experiences are needed, it will also provide valuable clues about the personal characteristics a person needs to have in order to be successful in the role. Keep these traits in mind throughout the hiring process. The job description will also provide the applicant with information related to the culture that the person will have to fit in with. Next, read the applicant's CV thoroughly. By taking time to examine the CV, you'll gain a better understanding of the applicant's background and see if there's anything in the CV you'd like to discuss specifically in the interview. For example, you may want to ask for specific details about their previous job experience that you might not have otherwise thought of.
This first candidate is really intriguing. There are a couple of things on her CV I'm concerned about.
With her work experience?
There's a 2-year gap between the jobs she's listed here.
Could mean just about anything. You'll have to ask her about it tomorrow. How's her experience otherwise?
Otherwise, it's good.
Another part of preparing for an interview is to schedule adequate time to get a full sense of the candidate's suitability for the role you're trying to fill. Make time for questions from both sides. Going into the interview properly prepared with plenty of time helps ensure you get the information you need to make the right decision for the job and the company.
How long are you taking for this tomorrow? I'm hoping to talk with you about next week's schedule before I leave for the day.
I'm giving us an hour. We may not need it all, but I want to have plenty of time to talk. Is 4 o'clock okay for you?
Take your time. We need a new Jesse as soon as possible.
If you see what the debrief, right? We've emphasized enough on the job description, we've emphasized enough on the skills, right? So when the interviewer is coming to speak with you, he's coming with the same kind of preparation, right? So they've read the JD thoroughly, they exactly know what kind of skills they need, they exactly know what kind of behavioral skills they need, etc. for you to be successful in this role. So we need to go with similar kind of preparedness while attending the interviews. And this is to give you a perspective of what interviewer is thinking and what interviewer's mindset will be. And every single interviewer gets trained on all of these things before they come and interview. And I have a couple of more videos to play, and then we'll conclude after that. And I'll pass it on to Riaz Bhai, who had a topic to cover as well quickly. So there are other 2 videos of 3 minutes, and then we'll conclude after that. So I'm just playing that, and then if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us offline as well.
It's very nice to meet you, Ms. Porter. Thank you for coming in today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. And please call me Allie.
With your preparation complete, you need an interview strategy. This includes the right questions to ask to get the information you need from your candidate to make an informed decision. Create a list of questions you may want to ask in advance. This helps you avoid falling into hypothetical questions or questions that invite one-word answers. And it also lets you avoid forgetting a crucial question or topic during the flow of the interview. While the specifics will obviously vary, there are 5 main question types that are useful during an interview. Open-ended questions are designed to elicit a meaningful answer and reveal details related to the interviewee's knowledge and personality. Ask what, how, and why questions. These are especially useful when the interviewee is discussing their experience or a specific work situation. Your questions should be chosen to allow the applicant to demonstrate the qualities you're looking for.
What experience have you had managing cross-functional teams?
Quite a bit. I recently led a team of 10 people on a cross-functional product development project. It was something of a challenge at first, getting the team to collaborate, but I like challenges, and in the end, it was a highly collaborative team effort.
Self-appraisal questions give the interviewee opportunities to analyze their own performance, interpersonal skills, or abilities.
What were some of those challenges, and how did you overcome them?
There was initially some conflict about roles and authority. I like to take a collaborative approach, so I sat down with everyone individually and explained what we were trying to accomplish and how they each played an integral part. But it would only work if they collaborated.
Accomplishment questions help you get a sense of a candidate's experience in practical work situations. They reveal how and to what extent a candidate was involved in previous projects.
What specific responsibilities did you have in your job with Dialonics?
It was primarily logistics. I managed schedules and resources, liaising with vendors and monitoring delivery deadlines and production benchmarks.
Can you be more specific about what was involved with your interactions with vendors?
Broad brush questions force applicants to think in general terms. Asking broad questions about their work experience encourages them to consider the bigger picture rather than narrow in on the specifics.
What can you tell me about managing a multifunctional team in a large company?
I'm not sure if you'd consider my current employer large, but I think in any setting, success depends on good communication. I find quick daily huddles really useful, taking 5 or 10 minutes every morning to touch base.
Comparison questions show you how capable an applicant is when it comes to analyzing a situation and demonstrating reasoning skills.
How would you compare leading a team to being a team member?
As a team leader, I was able to set the tone and the style for how the team operated. As a team member, you have to adapt yourself to the environment more. I think it's important to understand where you fit in the bigger picture, and then dedicate.
Choosing the right question and the right type of question at the right time helps you gain a well-rounded view of the candidate's abilities and allows you to gather the information you need to judge their suitability for the role you're trying to fill. Interviews can be stressful for both the interviewee and the interviewer. However, a good deal of that stress can be mitigated by following some basic best practices to keep the interview productive.
I'm very pleased to meet you. Did you have any trouble finding us?
Not at all. I gave myself plenty of time, but I didn't need it.
First, be on time. Being late is disrespectful and unprofessional. Then, don't jump directly into questions. Start the interview by clarifying expectations and allowing the applicants to present themselves. Once you begin, stay focused, withholding judgment while you listen. If an applicant moves off topic, steer them back. It can help to repeat points the applicant has mentioned, to steer the conversation, or to confirm that you understand the meaning of their answer.
I really liked the travel aspect, even if it was mostly in conferences. Rome was great, but I really loved Paris. I had my evenings free, and so I was able to do a lot of sightseeing, and the food.
And you were with them for 3 years?
Just over 3, yes. And then they were bought out, and my position was eliminated.
Be transparent. It doesn't make sense to skirt around possible problems or important questions. State any concerns and let the interviewee respond. You can then weigh their response as part of your overall assessment. Let the interviewee talk, make eye contact, show encouragement when they're answering questions, and let their responses determine subsequent questions.
In your CV, there's a period of just over 2 years where you don't have any employment listed. What was the reason for such a big gap?
That was the 2 years I spent finishing my master's. It really helped that I already had some experience at that point, and I wanted to focus on it full time. I had the opportunity, so I took it.
How did you find the transition back into the workplace?
It was a change, that's for sure, but ultimately I felt re-energized, like I had a greater focus. Thankfully, with the degree and my experience, I was able to get right back to work once my studies were completed.
There are also some common interviewing mistakes to avoid. Don't be too quick to form an opinion. Your impression shouldn't be based entirely on the applicant's field of study or job experience. They don't tell the whole story. Don't assume quiet or reserved candidates aren't interested in the position or lack fortitude. Don't project your own biases onto the applicant, generalizing or stereotyping them based on an incidental characteristic. And don't ignore feedback about candidates you may get from your team members and coworkers. Their insights or previous knowledge of the candidate may yield important information. It's the interviewer's job to control the direction and quality of the interview. Follow the guidelines, and you'll get enough information about each applicant to make the best possible decision.
I think with that, I'd like to conclude the session today. I think thank you everyone for joining. But before you don't leave yet, because we have one more part where Riaz Bhai wants to share quickly on the jobs aspect as well. But I think over to you, Riaz Bhai. Let me quickly download that slide that you wanted to share. Okay. With this, over to you, Riaz Bhai.
Thank you, Rainbay. I'm not going to take a lot of your time, so please have patience with me. I will take 5-7 minutes, not more than that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everyone. Today we have prepared a small topic. This is very detailed and sensitive topic. This presentation is just basic, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. But inshallah, reminder always benefits believers. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa may yattaqillaha yaj'al lahu makhraja. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. We have prepared this presentation just to tell you guys that what is halal and what is haram in finding jobs. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. The halal and haram is very important and sensitive subject. It's not only in matter of food and drink, but it is to be watched out in every field of life, including jobs and earnings. What is permitted or prohibited to me? Permissible work, it should be in a permissible field and should not involve helping others to commit unlawful act. Examples of permissible work includes working in buying and selling, rental of permissible things such as selling food, medicines, tools, equipments, and the like. It also includes working in teaching, medicine, engineering, electricity, manufacturing, and innumerable other permissible types of works. Of course, manufacturing comes like arms and ammunitions manufacturing, so those things doesn't come under, but there are other things still there. And what is prohibited? Unlawful work includes working in riba-based, riba is interest-based banks, writing down contracts of interest, commercial insurance companies, or equipping places for gambling, carrying alcohol, or anything of this sort whose consumption and use is prohibited in Islam. Jobs which involve injustice, cheating, raising pigs, or selling unlawful things, or helping others either go to unlawful places or do any unlawful act are all regarded haram and sinful. With this, I'll conclude. The ways of earning a lawful income are many, but the matter may need some research and effort. Allah says, help one another in bir and taqwa. The bir and taqwa is virtue, righteousness, and piety. but do not help one another in sin and transgression. And fear Allah, verily Allah is severe in punishment. The ayat I read in the beginning, whose translation is, and whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out. Allah will provide for him from where he does not expect. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purposes. Allah has already set for everything a decree extent. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.
There was a question online posted by one of the participants. Is working in an insurance company halal or not?
Firstly, I'm not a mufti or alim to give a fatwa, but as far as I'm aware, it is not. So, but you have to find your own way. You have to check with your mufti or local imam. Insurance itself is haram in Islam. So, yes. Any other? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
I had a question. Like,
yes, please.
Previous project, like, I'm basically working as an employee of Avana, and projects are given to us. If there's no project with my own company and I have to go on an Accenture project, and I have to do something to save my job, and I was working on this basic, tab company, it's the gambling and every single thing, and I have to do the project. What am I supposed to do then? That's
again, it is technical question. Definitely, you have to ask the mufti. But if you are feeling that it is haram thing that is getting to involved in this, then I'll prefer you have to stay away from it.
What about my job?
See, that's why I read the ayat,
yes.
Right? The ayat itself says, if you trust Allah, if you have taqwa in Allah, Allah will make way out. I can give you one example. I've got one friend here. He used to work in a beverage company, and they were making juices. Everything was fine. All of a sudden, and he hold a very big position there as a director level, and he is next to the owner. He was holding that big position. Then the company decided that they are going into alcohol. As soon as they have decided, he resigned it. And company tried to convince him a lot, saying that we will give you your pay with only from juices and other halal stuff only. You will not get paid anything from this alcohol industry at all. We will not mix that. But he says, you are the owner, you are owning both the companies, haram and this one. And he quit. And now he has got 2-3 months he was suffering. He was not having any job. But after that, he has got so many jobs. And recently he was telling me that he has got a job for 300K. Plus benefits. So he trusted Allah, and Allah make the ways, and Allah will test you definitely. So you have to have patience. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to Rahim bhai. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think you guys have been a wonderful audience. I'm pleased to see that although we are about 20 participants. Thank you for being patient, and it's not easy, I know, to attend such a lengthy session online, but I think you guys stayed on for such a long time. So I think it's a fantastic testimony. So, and then look, Shiraz and myself are always available for any questions offline as well. Connect with us online or on LinkedIn. We'll be more than happy to assist. And if you're in Adelaide locally, then obviously I'd love to meet you sometime in person as well. So Jazakallah khair for joining, and hopefully you all find the roles that you're looking for, and we'll be more than happy to assist wherever we can. Thank you once again. Have a great evening.